Astacross has fired the first shot at Bungie, claiming Destiny 2 has become a microtransaction hellscape. Now, as two players who've played over 1,000 hours, multiple thousands of hours in Destiny 1 and 2, we both quit on our own accord before this video, we'd like to weigh in on the action.
Absolutely. So I'll go first. I'll just jump in. I quit way before Dan. So I think we just kind of want to talk about what the final straw for each of us was before we weigh into major points that Astacross made. So as soon as they took away the pinnacle weapons, I think that was the last straw for me. That was really one of the main points I like to, or one of the main things I like to do was grind for those pinnacle weapons. You do hard content, you get a good reward. And when they took those away, I kind of, one, they made them easier to get first. So like, Luna's Howl, that was a huge thing for us. And then they made it a lot easier to get down the road, right? And then they took them away completely, and that definitely was the last straw for me. I didn't feel like there was anything for grinding purposes for PvP. So you quit recently. So what was your final straw?
The big final straw was grinding, like grinding 80 hours for a weapon, and the weapon's like but it's supposed to be best in class. There's just everything else is so good or equal to it. It's hard to be like better. There's nothing left to grind for. The single player content is non-existent. You need a raid group. You need like 3 or 4 people constantly. Everything was either too hard for that or too easy, and they just lengthened out the grind and didn't respect my time at all. And so that was like the biggest straw. Was like, it's like, what am I grinding for? There's really nothing. And why do I have to keep playing more and more hours for nothing in return? So I had to like pull myself off of the addiction. It was
Right.
like I'm logging on every single day for like no reason. At the end of the week, I was like, what do I have to show for it? I feel like I have no progression, like ranking up in the battle pass is no longer fulfilling this like progression need, this power grind, or the like being able to do harder content. Like it's non-existent in Destiny anymore.
Yeah, I got to a point where, like I said, the pinnacle weapons, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I got to a point where I literally wasn't playing any other games, which is fine in a lot of cases. A lot of people who play MMOs, that's normal. But like you said, I was logging on every single day and I was mindlessly grinding shit I didn't care about or wasn't even having fun with. And
Doing
once
the
I
checklist.
yeah, exactly, going through like, all right, I'm doing this, this daily, this weekly, whatever it was. Um, and like I'm a huge PvP guy, and I got to the point where I didn't even really have time to do PvP because you have that FOMO, right? You have to hit every box, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I have 30 minutes to play a couple games of PvP or whatever. And it's like not really, and that's one of the reasons I don't come back to the game at all, because Destiny does have some of the best weapon play out there, hands down. But every time I have good memories and think about going back, the grind to get the good weapons to be relevant in PvP just completely holds me back. So, they went through this whole restructure thing, which looking at it now is complete bullshit, where they're like, "Oh, we're new player friendly, blah blah blah. We're free to play, blah blah blah." They're not, and we'll talk about that later because the Cross's video discusses it. The difference between their free to play model. But yeah, just completely keeps me from going back to it. And as soon as I quit, I felt relieved. I actually was playing other games, and I know you felt the same thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess going into how this progressed as far as like microtransactions, because I didn't realize it was this bad because it's been well over a year since I've played last. How have they progressed in your eyes? Because I remember the store where you had cosmetics. That's all I really knew. So I guess what has the progression been? Has this been a slow burn where no one noticed, or was it just like a
Oh man, this has been like the slowest death by 1,000 cuts that like I think I've seen, and I think that's been Bungie's strategy. Is I mean all the things that led up to like the final straw for me was just like it was like gut punch after gut punch after gut punch, and like these just tiny little things that were so annoying. Like they sunset all the weapons, and I'd have to spend I spent like 8 hours going through all the sunset weapons and deleting them to get space in my vault because they haven't addressed like the vault space issue since like Destiny 2 began, really. And once they fix it, the next season they immediately ruined it, their fix. And the only thing they've done since is given you, I think, 100 more vault spaces, like 20%
which is
increase. And
nothing.
yeah, which is for 6 years of Destiny, 7 years of Destiny 2, nothing. And so, it's everything's been this slow burn. All the microtransactions have been this like slow increase of more to now the battle pass and these microtransactions are their own is the grind. That's the end game in Destiny now is the battle pass and their microtransactions. Like they're doing I'm not opposed to like crossovers, but they did an Epic crossover. They did a PlayStation crossover where they have armor sets based on Fortnite. They had armor sets based on I don't know what PlayStation IP it was or whatever, but um like they're putting all their time and resources into microtransactions. And then the battle pass. And then the battle pass gets you, doing all these different things, gets you their free in-game currency you can use to like buy stuff. But all that is being able to buy kind of like junk or garbage, but it gets you to log into the store every single week.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put all the ads for all their microtransactions right in front of you, and you have to scroll to the last page of the store to spend your free dollars. And so it's terrible. Like, and if you're a player who hasn't bought the like yearly pass, if you didn't buy like the digital deluxe edition that comes with the game, that like year's expansion and the whole year of season passes, every time you load up the game, you're getting hit with ads to buy the next season, to buy the next pass, to buy the expansion that you missed, to buy the next event that comes out. And so if you jump in and you haven't played for a couple months, you have like 5 or 6 ads to close out of every time you load the game up. It's ridiculous.
So let's hit on that topic first then. We talked how it's not new player friendly, right? I don't you've mentioned it before how many times you've gotten or tried to get sorry about the phone. You've tried to get your friends to play.
My friends, anybody new that's like remotely interested, you try and get them into the game. You're like, hey, I'll carry you through this. I'll do this for you. And then in Destiny 1, I think it kind of worked. But in Destiny 2, they just get so lost.
Right.
And they've supposedly tried to make improvements to the new player experience, but there's been people who jump in and they have 96 quests to do right away. There's no campaign for them to like start with. And they're just like, well, I don't know. I just like do these random like quests that are like season long grinds.
Well, and
they have no idea what they're doing.
And this is where the scumminess comes into play. When a new player gets into Destiny, they don't know. Say they play the free to play portion of the game, they're like, "Oh, this is cool. I like this," and they want to get to the current content. One, it's paywalled, obviously, and two, they structure it so it's confusing on what you actually need to buy. Now, I was a veteran D2 player and D1 player, and even when I came back, I had to ask you specifically what the fuck I needed to buy, which is not good. Now, imagine a new player, right? So, I feel like Bungie is hoping that you'll accidentally purchase the wrong thing. I'm like,
100%.
well, it is still content, and then, it's what's $10 to you, but if every new players doing that, or a lot of them are, that's a shit ton of money for Bungie.
I think their strategy is literally they can't really sell to new players because they don't have a new player experience. And so they're really just like selling to people who are addicted to their game and playing it constantly. And they're relying on some of those people to bring in like new players to like come in, get them confused, make them buy the wrong stuff. They're not going to stick around anyways. Bungie knows that, but at least if we can get them to spend $15-20 on an expansion that they'll probably never buy, we turned them into a paying customer
I feel
from a
like
free to
that's
play player.
a lot of battle passes nowadays. It's, I've done it before. I'll get back into COD or whatever. Or, right now we're playing Halo, and you'll
Yeah,
buy
but
you'll buy the battle pass, and now
oh, for sure. The
Bungie's
difference is though is like you buy the battle pass in that game and you just play the content and you upgrade the battle pass. In Destiny, you buy the battle pass and you're still needing to buy expansions to play this content and
to play
dungeon
dungeons.
keys to
Yeah,
play
that's bullshit.
dungeons.
When I heard
And
that, sorry to interrupt, that's some bullshit, man. You're paying for DLC or an expansion, right? And now you're saying, oh, you bought the expansion, but you still need to buy for or dungeon keys. It's
mhm.
that's bad, man.
Yeah,
That's
like we hopped on back on Halo Infinite, and we can jump in, buy the battle pass, and we can play everything that the game has to offer. We don't have to buy anything else new. We bought the battle pass, and we can upgrade it through whatever content we want to play.
mm-hmm.
Destiny is the complete opposite. You buy the battle pass, and like you get like one seasonal activity, and you get a leveling structure. And then if you want to get all the other ways to increase your XP and level up and get these gear drops, you have to buy this expansion, this old battle pass season. You have to do all this other stuff, and that's what like Bungie's capitalizing on. Is once you've made a $10 investment, they want you to make a $45, $50 investment, and then they know they're probably going to lose you anyways. But they sold you a game's worth of money they got out of you for that short time you were there.
It's funny because back in the day, I used to think like Bungie wants to respect their veteran players. They're like, oh, we hear you, we're listening to you. But now I consider myself a veteran player, even though I don't play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck if I'm ever gonna come back because all this shit that's going on, why would I jump back into a game where they're just gonna rip me for I've spent hundreds of dollars on their IPs, hundreds, right? You think about every expansion, and now they want to just rip me for how much more. It doesn't make any sense because think about just the fact that they're even having the audacity to charge you twice for the same season. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now me as a veteran player, why the fuck would I want to come back to that?
Yep.
It doesn't.
They're literally relying on this addiction that like you can't not play Destiny because
Like a
there's
mobile
not
game.
really, yeah, there's not really another experience kind of like it, right? Like it's a really good shooter. It's it's the best live service looter shooter. They're the longest like running,
Mm-hmm.
and it has like the most consistent like player community. And then I think what keeps them alive is their raids, or I guess trials, PvP content that gets players coming back because there's nothing else. Kind of all the other looter shooters or live service games just mess up the end game entirely, and Bungie's the only one who's delivered a raid and delivered that end game content that's got players around. So they just got these people kind of addicted and hooked like drugs, and then they start manipulating all these things like a mobile game would. There's a whole psychology to mobile games where if they can get you to spend $1, they've got you hooked. You think
Mm-hmm.
you feel that you're invested in the game and you don't want to lose your investment by quitting the game because you've already put in money and invested money and time into it, that you need to keep playing it and keep buying more stuff now. And so that's where like Diablo Immortal went, is like you could play a lot of hours for free on this game, and it like was actually a really, really solid mechanically played mobile game. But once you got to a certain tipping point that they knew like your brain would go to, that you're addicted and invested, then they start like pulling the rug from underneath you and pulling the thread, and then everything unravels. You need to buy so many gems to upgrade your gear, and you got to hit this gem and get this loot drop for the loot drop, and then it just becomes this $1,000, $10,000 machine that keeps like sucking money out of you. And Bungie is like deploying every single one of these mobile game tactics that they can at every single turn to suck as much money out of everybody as they possibly can. So not only don't they respect your time, which we can get back to that, but they don't respect your money either, and they view their core player base as just cash cows from which they can just keep sucking money out of.
I kind of lost my train of thought, but where I was going when you mentioned mobile games prior to that, if they would respect their players' billfolds, I've spent hundreds of dollars, but if they kept it worth coming back and just a simple, hey, $10 season, battle pass, whatever. Dude, I don't even mind paying 30 to 40 bucks for a good expansion and then $10 a season. If that's what they
Mhm.
kept it at, I wonder how many like people like me or you now would come back and be like, oh, there's this awesome expansion. I'll pay 30 bucks for that and I'll pay 10 bucks for the season and I'll be happy with it because it's story content. I don't feel like I need to, spend a bunch of extra bullshit. Like, but now
The problem is mobile games don't care about the general mass populace. They care about the whales,
the whales,
and they
cash
cater
cows.
everything to their whales.
Moo.
Um, yeah, and so they're looking. They don't care about the people who will spend 60 to 80 bucks a year on Destiny. They want the people who will keep buying these $20 skins because that's way more profitable
Fuck
content
yeah, it is.
than a season or an expansion or anything else. And so everything else that they do is secondary to just keep the player playing the game so that they can keep looking at these really expensive skins and breaking down and buying skins because that content, the skins, are so profitable. And all the other content that Bungie makes pretty much loses money.
So going into respecting the player, respecting time, what are your thoughts on them focusing a lot of their development team on this? And then you also got part of their studio going to Marathon, right? So all those PvP players who have
That have
already
been
they've
complaining
committed
for years.
and now but they committed to your game, right? They committed to your game, Bungie, but now you took developers over to PV or Marathon and developers over to the what's it called? What's the damn silver place called? The store.
Eververse.
Eververse, thank you.
Yep.
Try to remove that from my mind.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
like,
they don't make weapons anymore. They just make more skins.
yeah. But it's funny now. I was actually excited for Marathon, but I didn't know any of this shit was going on
And
with Destiny.
same.
I don't know. I hope it comes out good. Ugh. I'm just wondering if there's
I
gonna be
I
enough backlash.
I've lost faith in Bungie, and I honestly thought was at the thing of like I don't Destiny doesn't respect my time, or I don't have enough time to play like the MMO style game that it is. Um, and I was just fine quitting and like breaking ways, and it's like I just need to like get away from Destiny. Excited for Marathon though because I love Bungie's polish and like their first person shooter aspect, and so it should be fun. Now like the way they are going about every turn of this game, and they've basically been they've Bungie hasn't all of a sudden changed. They've been this maniacal since Destiny 2 came out.
Yeah.
If you remember the whole XP throttling
Oh yeah.
thing that Destiny 2 launched with,
Yep.
they have tried to suck players money out of them from day one. They just keep disguising it in different ways.
Yeah. They got a
Um,
good PR team.
Yeah, they just like spin it or they make it seem better or they give you like a little bit of a win and then they slowly reel that back. Um, or they sunset all weapons and like, guys, there's just too many weapons. There's too many perks. We can't keep it. So we just need to sunset them. And then they only sunset one set or like sunset one thing or like 2 or 3 years worth of content. They did one sunsetting is what I was trying to say.
Hmm.
And then they're issuing us all the same weapons that they sunset back to me, but I have to grind for the new one because the old one was sunset. So even though I put 100 hours into getting a god roll and have it still in my vault, I can't use it because it's sunset. But hey, you can do another 100 hour grind for this next god roll of the same weapon. It's like, no, no, it's just another manipulation to like keep you grinding, keep you playing the game, and them to spend as least amount of money on the actual gameplay of
Right.
Destiny and spend most of their development money and time developing new ways to get you to spend more money. And
Yeah.
like that's the part that just like kills me is like the whole battle pass. And they've gone back and forth with like how much XP and how long it takes to like max out the battle pass. And there was a season where it was much less and very easy to rank to max out, which was great. It was a good season, or it felt a lot better. And now it's massive. It is a massive season long grind. The week that, like, when I got like the 2 weeks off of like COVID and played for like 80 hours, I didn't even max it out in those 2 weeks. Like, it's 80, it's like a 200-hour grind just to max out the battle pass to get that level 100 really gold thing that you'd buy a battle pass for. And
Yeah,
so
that's asinine to me. I was think I can't remember if I was watching a video or listening to a podcast, but everyone, because I'm into Halo now, gotten back into it. And everyone's like, yeah, you're shitting on 343, blah 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 blah. Everyone's saying you guys are really into Bungie, and it's like, well, he's like, you're into Halo, not Bungie. Let's make that clear, because look what the fuck they're doing. They're no better than 343. Yeah, 343 is making a lot of really shitty calls with Halo, the franchise as a whole. But look what Bungie's doing. I don't know what's worse.
well, at least like with Halo and their scummy battle pass thing, they were pretty blatant about it, I
Yeah,
guess.
they
Like,
weren't trying to
just, like,
hide it.
correct. They just kind of shoved it in front of you, and you could pretty much tell that it was just basically corporate Microsoft saying, nope, we got to recoup our money on Halo. If you're going free to play,
Right.
we got to get our money back somehow.
But the Halo is truly a free to play
Correct. Yep.
multiplayer.
So that's
Fucking
better.
Destiny is not.
Is not at all. And like the fact that like that you can just jump in on Destiny and all the weapons are available to you, and they're all the same level as everybody else.
Halo.
Halo, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it works. But Destiny, you jump into PvP and play, and you're just getting into the game. You're using blues and greens and maybe a purple or two, but they're garbage, and you have to spend the 80 to 100 hours just to be decent at PvP.
Right.
Is insane. Like, everything is just about the grind.
Yeah. It. I don't know. There's too many good things in this world right now, especially 2023 as a whole with video games. Destiny is nowhere on my radar at all. Even me just jumping into the Halo campaign before I got on this podcast. It's fun, man. Zelda's out, a bunch of other games. I'd rather spend 80 hours on grinding the shit out of a open world game than I would doing some bullshit battle pass for Destiny content. Because the thing that kills me with Destiny, if you're grinding that much, are you progressing as a player? Like, my big thing is if I'm playing a competitive game like Halo, I was thinking, or Call of Duty, CSGO, whatever, Valorant. If I spend 80 hours on a game, I'm getting better as a mechanical player. But if I'm grinding 80 hours on dungeons or strikes or whatever, what am I getting out of it if there's really not?
The more likelihood that you'll buy skins.
Yes. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we can break down some of the topics that Estacross kind of touched on. He said the game's not free to play, it's free to try. We've already kind of explained, like, yep, that's 100% a thing. It is not free to play. They try, and they've removed so much free to play content from the game. They just keep sunsetting stuff from the game, and it's all was free to play, and they've replaced it with nothing. So like the Red War, the whole like OG Destiny 2 campaign, when they went free to play, they're like, yep, this is all free to play. You can go ahead and play it. Everyone was like, cool, that's like a great starting point. That's a decent amount of content. It's good for free to play players. Well, they've like deleted that whole campaign from the game, and they've replaced it with nothing. And now there's no campaign for a free to play player to play. So
blows my mind.
Yeah, it never really was truly free to play. It was definitely free to try. But now it's even worse. It's literally you can jump on and get your butt kicked in PvP and strikes and Gambit, really bad in Gambit, and then want to go buy an expansion so you can get the guns to be good at those game modes. It's terrible.
It's all calculated. That's the worst part.
Correct. And then that leads into his next topic, the confusing pay structure for everything.
Yeah, we
About
talked about that a
dungeon
little bit.
keys, expansions, battle pass seasons, and they're all three separate and they all get you different things, but they'll label everything as a part of this season. And so that associates in your mind, oh, this season's great content. It's got, so much. I just need to buy the battle pass or buy this season and I'll be able to play so many great things. And then it's like, nope, just kidding. The dungeon's not a part of it, which is what everybody was looking for. Nothing else is a part of it. You get access to the battle pass, and that's in the one activity that came out that season, and that's it. And so this confusing pay structure just leads to all the new players or even veteran players buying content they have no intention of buying, and then having to spend more money on the next content.
Well, and I
Um,
noticed in the stores they still do it all the time. They'll do like the Lightfall bundle or the Witch Queen
mhm.
bundle or whatever, and it gives you all the previous not seasons but
Expansions or
expansions,
seasons
but a lot of that shit's gone.
gone. Yep.
So you're paying for fucking nothing.
Hmm.
Just
And
it doesn't
they
make.
used to be able to buy what season like battle pass you wanted to play for the year,
Mm-hmm.
and they said they would support that battle pass or that season's content for, I don't know, a year or an X amount of time. And now it's literally their year starts when the first expansion of that year comes out, and it resets the next time that year. And so the last season of that expansion is only out for 2 or 3 months,
Well,
and then it gets
and
yeeted from the game.
none of it's, even if you wanted to grind old content, no one's playing it, and none of the drops are
Relevant anymore.
relevant. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
makes
Mm-hmm.
zero sense, but people
So
don't.
yeah, now I missed a whole season, and we're getting close to like the next big expansion. Well, not really like that close, but once that
Don't say
next
where.
expansion comes out next year, I paid for like the
Oh,
yearly bundle.
just
So
hit my cord. Sorry. Ah,
um so that like already prepaid for all the like new seasons for the rest of this year.
mm,
But now that I'm not currently playing them, next year when it resets, I won't be able to play any of the seasons that I paid for. None of that content, because I'm not playing it while it's active. And
right.
they've geared into the FOMO, the fear of missing out,
Yep.
so hard. And there was a point in Destiny 2 where they said we're going to try and not lead into FOMO so much. It leads to like bad player experiences and XYZ. We don't want you guys to be afraid of missing all this stuff. So we're going to try and support the content that we're releasing for longer. And now it just seems they're like, yeah, forget
Well,
what we said. We're going hard into FOMO. Everything about the game now is currently just FOMO based.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and they typical Bungie, which they can get hype train going. They're utilizing their marketing scheme
Their
with
marketing's crazy
with the
good.
fear of missing everything.
Mhm.
So
Yep, they sure are. Um, so yeah, Dungeon Keys we already talked about is the next thing that Acid Cross kind of mentions, that they're completely separate now from all the seasonal content and all the expansions. So if you want to play a dungeon, even though it's labeled with a current season that it drops in, you need to spend more money for a specific dungeon key, which just blows my mind. But the reason why this doesn't get so much outrage currently is because so many people just buy the digital deluxe edition for the whole year's worth of
comes with it.
content,
Yep. They
and
don't
it
know.
comes with it.
They don't
So
know.
yeah, so many players aren't experiencing the dungeon key issue,
Hmm.
that it's not wide enough spread. And that's, I think, another reason why Bungie keeps divvying up and in micro, like making it confusing, is not all the players are getting the same experience of buying all this stuff. So it's not this widespread pushback and revolt. It's just for the
Now it might be.
well,
You,
yeah,
I
hopefully.
mean, look at what you said. The viewpoints on Across's video that we're talking about. Would you say 1.2 million people have viewed it as of July
Mhm.
2nd?
That's just his views and not people's reacting to its views.
Right. I mean, good. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I don't like when companies act like this.
I know.
And
So then they increased the price of the seasonal passes.
what are they
Is
at
the
now?
next. So they went from 10 to $12,
Oh, but they did the bullshit silver thing.
but you can't buy $12 worth of the thing. And
That
this is the other
is
thing.
a mobile thing through and through, man.
So mobile. Why can't you buy? You can buy the expansions and everything else in real cash on Steam. But you can't buy the seasons.
Yep.
It's just so bullshit.
Yeah.
So BS, man. Like you're really stooping to these just psychological mental tactics to get people to spend more money.
Yeah. I mean, COD, Activision does it too, right? COD, that's the same way. But um, when you stack everything together, it just kind of. But you know what?
Mhm.
You can actually no, you can buy the season. Can't remember if you can use real money on COD for the season. Yeah, you can. Pretty sure you can. I know Halo you can. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'd have to double check that.
It's scummy that it's a full price game and they're treating it like a mobile game. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. It's like you're already getting $100 a year out of me.
Right.
Why are you like so insistent on me spending even more money? It's
Because you're
ridiculous.
doing it. That's the problem.
Well, people are doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Then the whole event cards where they want you to pay for like the event premium event card thing, but they're misleading you on what that actually gets you. It just gets you like a couple extra emotes and you can get all the other stuff free with the free event that's coming
Mhm.
out. And they keep every time you like interact with the event card, they keep saying, "Hey, buy the premium thing, you can get access to all this cool stuff." And it's just so mobile gamey
Dude, people are just
in a
buying it to
$100 a year game.
get it the
People are
fuck
just
off my
buying it.
screen.
Yep. The convenience factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he Astrocross keeps going. He continues into events, Eververse, and manipulation. And we've just kind of like talked about that already. That
Yeah.
they just try and manipulate you into buying like everything and leading you back to the store, which is their highest return on investment stuff. And then this next one's rough. It's pretty much turned into like almost pay to win territory,
Yeah.
where it's not full pay to win to where you can keep spending more money and keep getting better and better and better,
Mhm.
but you can buy your way to have an advantage over a lot of other people. They started with this last big expansion before Lightfall came out, and if you bought the yearly pass bundle, you got the exotic weapon of that year, like 4 to 6 months before the expansion even came out, and it was a really solid exotic. It was great in PvP, and so it's like, okay, now only the people who spend $100 a year for the next year have access to this weapon for months and months and months. That's starting to really step into pay to win territory.
Yeah.
And now it wasn't like overpowered. It wasn't the strongest weapon, which if it would have definitely been pay to win. But now that they've been doing that and they have their whole new grind of crafting weapons is getting 5 red border weapons so that you can finally craft your roll, level it up, and build your own god roll. Now you're going to be able to buy 100 levels in the battle pass and be able to just make one of those weapons for free. So whatever the next like god roll weapon is, people are going to be able to get it so much faster if they've bought the 100 tiers in the battle pass day 1 of the season than all the other players who didn't spend the $100 per season to level up their battle pass.
And that just goes
It's
back into the respective time. One of the reasons I like playing MMOs, and this is like you call it MMO light.
mhm.
I like playing MMOs to show how much time I've put into the game. This is my account. Look at this. But now if you can buy the shit, like if I look at somebody who's like, oh, they're max, they're max on the battle pass, like damn, they did that quick. Now there's no relevance to that because you can just buy it. It doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So that's a huge turnoff for me. Um, it's no different than playing any game that you can earn loot. I remember like back standing at the tower with your Nightfall Halo thing back in Destiny 1, like holy shit, they already did the They did
the
the
weekly
Nightfall.
Nightfall,
You
day
know what I
one.
mean?
Yep.
Stuff like that. But
Being able to show off your in-game achievements.
yes.
But that's been removed from Destiny 2. It's all, oh, look what I just bought in the store. It's really cool. Oh, look what I bought during this event from 5 years ago that you can't buy anymore. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they've removed the like the end game goal of MMOs and turned it into a cash shop. Is the end game grind to show off like what you did and your accomplishments. You're like, I did the raid. I got every single piece of the gear. I am a master
Right.
of the raid. And not just one piece of gear. I didn't do the raid once.
All of
I
them
got every single piece. I got the full set
on
on
3
all my
characters.
characters.
Fuck yeah.
I am a master of this game and the raids, and you can just see that by looking at my character. And now nobody wears the raid armor because the raid armor is crap to look at,
Yeah.
and they can buy a better set.
Right.
So the end game of Destiny is Drestiny, and you dress up your character
I like
with
that.
stuff you bought. Yeah, it's been a thing that everybody's been saying is the Drestiny end game.
That's funny. Now, I will say, do you think this is all this started to come into full circle once Sony acquired Bungie? Do you think this is Sony taking advantage of the cash cow that it is? Or do you think this was Bungie's idea? Because a lot of times, you know, when Bungie was owned by Activision, they were
Everybody
like,
attributed
Activision,
Activision as a bad
this,
thing.
blah, blah, blah. Well, motherfucker, you kept the same path.
And they went
So
worse.
yeah, so I don't know, man. You know,
I think their entire time, apparently this is another new thing that I kind of learned after researching this, is Bungie burns through cash more than any other game developer out there. They are like really expensive to make all their content and make all their games. And it came to a head at Forsaken, which was like the best year that Destiny 2 has ever had, was so much content. And the reason that year was the reason that Activision allowed Bungie to like buy themselves out, is because they didn't hit the like profitability margin that Activision was looking for, because the costs were so high from Destiny. And so now they said they won't be able to ever repeat that like level of content in a year, because it like isn't profitable for them, or profitable enough to kind of prove to their corporate overlords that they're a good investment and they should keep putting more money into Destiny, right? And so I think all the scummy stuff that Bungie's done has been of their own want and doing to try and prove that they are profitable enough to keep investing money into Bungie and Destiny.
yeah.
And I think Sony honestly could really care less about Destiny 2. They're focused on other live service games, and they want Bungie, unfortunately, to manage and make that all their other live service games, or give them a roadmap to success, because so many live service games fall flat on their face and die immediately.
Yeah, I can't wait till Marathon comes out and it turns into a live service fucking
Nightmare.
cash store.
Yeah, if it's full free to play, they're gonna have to have some serious microtransaction stuff to get you to.
But you look at games like
profitable.
CS:GO, Valorant, right? Those are free to play. And people spend a shit ton of money on skins.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's always been Riot's philosophy. Is they've really been one of the only live service / free to play games that have, like, I feel like, done it right and followed the model that they need to follow to continue to like grow and foster like a good community. Is they just make a really kick-ass game. They don't allow pay to win, and they just bank on people loving the game so much that they will buy skins, and it's worked.
Even when we played Valorant for a little bit, I bought the premium battle pass just because I respected Riot so much. I looked at the whole you know, vision of the game, the gameplay. I looked at the store. I looked at all that. I looked at their events they had going on. I'm like, dude, this is cool, man. I was like, I have no problem throwing you guys money.
Yep.
And I just wish more game companies had that.
Well, we thought that's what I thought that's what Destiny was when they bought themselves out of Activision.
I
Was,
was like a
hey, we
little
got to
hype boy,
support them
man.
so they don't like have to sell to anybody else, and that they can stay profitable, and
Yeah.
just sold themselves to Sony.
Yeah.
And it's like, I try, like I literally would be like, oh, this skin's like pretty cool. I don't really need it, but like,
But
it's Bungie. They're
it's like an indie
self-published, and
developer. Yeah.
yeah, and like they were technically like the biggest indie developer like out there, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I respect their vision. They want to like put out these like other games, and I want them to stay independent. So I was like, yeah, I'll put. I don't feel bad at all for putting all this money in there. And then when they sold to Sony, I just felt completely like betrayed, and it's like they were literally just in it for the money. And they've dropped these little hints over the time, like, oh, did you guys really like that like Whisper of the Worm mission that we like threw out? And it was like, this really cool exotic mission we just dropped out of nowhere, and it was amazing, basically a mini dungeon. Oh, that this skin that was $10 in the shop paid for the entire development of that. And so everyone's like, if we buy more skins, they can make more content like that. Oh my god, we have to do it.
That's
And
fucked
then they
up.
never made any more of those kind of things, or very few of them. And then they turned it into kind of dungeons, and we get to a year, and
They
now
got
you
paid
got to
for
pay
'em.
for them.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They just
hilarious.
they knew how to just like sow these seeds like early in the game of this, really fun and cool content they could just capitalize with later.
That's horrible. It's
Mm-hmm.
funny because I didn't pay for any of that, but I didn't yeah, I never bought any
Oh, it was in
cosmetics.
my head the whole time. It's like, oh, like I don't even feel bad for paying for this because they can use this money to make
Yeah.
to make the next exotic mission that's like
Yup.
incredible. I love these things because we did the exotic Whisper of the Worm mission together. You, me,
Mhm.
and Buttery did, and it
Yep.
was just some of the most fun we've had in
Yeah.
Destiny. And just like we were in awe of the world that they created in
How
this
you even got
this
into
one
it.
mission. How you
Yeah.
got into it, the scope and the scale of everything. Destiny making you feel so small as a character because
Yeah.
the world is so big. They nailed all that, and they had me hook, line, and sinker. I'm ready to
Mm.
just sign up for my 401k and be like, "You keep making more of this, I'm good to go."
Oh,
And they
man.
never did
That's messed up.
because it was too expensive to make. They couldn't get the return on investment.
That's sad.
Hmm.
That's sad, my friend. It is sad that all my positive memories of playing Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are now in the fucking trash can because I don't respect the company anymore.
Yeah. Well, Destiny 1, I feel like, was the only time that like the model monetization wise made sense.
Yeah.
But it was just a precursor to what they're doing now. The expansion model, oh man, I loved it, man. I
Shame.
put 2, 3, 400 hours into one expansion for like a month or like 6 weeks. And I was like, I'm done with this expansion. I've done everything there is to do.
Mhm.
I can go play some other games. And then when the next Destiny expansion came out, it was like Christmas all over again.
Yep.
And I was addicted, and it was just the best. There was so much content to blow through. And now it's like they just want you playing every day, and there's no content. There's like never any new content. It sucks, except for once a year when you get the new like main big expansion. Um, and even then they were starting to get pretty bad until Witch Queen came around, and it was just
Yeah.
okay. This is one of the best campaigns I've ever played.
Yeah, that almost brought me
Um,
back in. I'm glad I didn't though, honestly.
you still should play it because
I'll
it's
watch
actually
it.
that
Dude,
good.
fuck, I'm not giving them any money. I'll
So good,
yeah,
legendary campaign.
I'll watch it
It
on
brings you
YouTube.
back to some Halo 3 legendary campaign days,
No,
but
baby.
um,
Is there anything else you want to touch on?
just that this has all been paying for Marathon and the other games that they've been developing, and they've pulled all these developers or hired all the new hires that they've gone to haven't gone to Destiny. They've gone to these other games.
Mhm.
So we haven't been paying for the new content in Destiny anymore because we've been paying for them to make Marathon while they have given us no new PvP anything. No PvP maps, no PvP endgame rewards. They've just abandoned, besides for trials, they've just abandoned the PvP community. Um, and just like sucked the money out of them to keep playing the game so that they could build Marathon. And this, so then the other thing that I wanted to touch on was Datto's response to this video,
Yeah,
which just kind of pissed me off because he
I
was just
agree.
like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, I don't do any of this stuff. I don't pay for microtransactions. It doesn't affect me. I don't think people would be stupid enough to spend $100 on to unlock all 100 levels of the battle pass right away day one. So I don't think it's going to give them an advantage.
And
Bro,
Andy,
are you that naive?
yeah, Andy pretty much said that it's not a fight worth fighting.
Yep.
He said, you know, companies are going to do what companies are going to do. I was not happy because he essentially backpedaled, and I have no emotional attachment to, like, I like Astrocross a lot. I still watch his stuff even though I don't play Destiny, but he backpedaled hard as shit on what he originally
Had
said,
said
and I
back in
don't know
D1.
why. It's like, dude,
Because I honestly, I think he's kind of just given up, and I think he just plays the game because that's
made
the
him,
game he's played, and that's the
yeah,
community he's made. And so I think he's just like, whatever, guys, like the game's the game. They're gonna
bless
keep
you.
doing as long as people keep buying it, and it's like
That's not
I
the right
get that, but
answer,
like, yeah, it's not right. You could at least like be more upset about it, but he was just
right?
basically emotionless and like, yeah, whatever. And you know, he's really not that much of a PvP player,
Hmm.
so the competitive advantages don't really matter that much to him. He's good at PvP, but he's not a like
Yeah.
avid PvP player.
Mm.
So that stinks. I also watched Asmon Gold's reaction to it.
Hmm.
The
I didn't
WoW,
watch
like
that.
World of Warcraft kind of player, and he thought this is the scummiest game he's ever seen in existence with how much money they're like charging for a full price game, and then trying to like pull all this stuff on top of it. But he was like, being an old school player that he is, he's like, I hope they suck every bit of money out of these D2 players, so Marathon's good because I'm gonna play the shit out of that.
I love that. I mean, yeah, I don't. I feel bad for the guys who still have investments. If they're still playing PvP or whatever, it's the only game they like playing. Say they do really like PvP. It sucks that they're not gonna be getting any content. I mean, fuck, you were saying it the other day, man. 343 has launched more maps on Halo Infinite, which is one of the worst launches, you know, of all time. But they've already have more maps than Bungie has in how many years?
Mm-hmm.
And Halo Infinite's launch is shit,
Mm-hmm.
and their whole campaign structure is shit. But they've already done two, or well, I forgot how many new maps they have total, but it's a lot more than Bungie's
Two new
released.
ones this season,
Yeah,
and
just two.
they've sprinkled in ones along the way. So when we went back, we're like, wow, there's
Yeah.
a ton of maps. And then they've like leveraged the Forge community to like make all these other maps too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a ton of new maps to play.
Yeah.
But in Destiny, you know, we have the OG makers of like some of the best competitive maps in first person shooters, and they've just given up on making maps.
Yeah.
And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, how are we still playing D1 remake maps and vanilla D2 maps
Yeah.
10 years later? It blows my mind.
I was watching Geekermon. I don't know if you ever watch him, but he's a PvP player, and it was funny because he launches in, and it's, I forgot what it's even called. What's the one with like the town?
Yep.
Uh, and I'm just like,
In your old Europe or whatever.
yeah, dude. I was like, that's still in rotation. It's wild.
Every single map that you remember playing in D2 is still in
Yeah,
rotation.
that's crazy.
And those are the only maps to play. They haven't come out with anything new. It's rough. And the problem, like, what sucks is there's nothing else first person shooter like it. So
Yeah.
if you like that style of, it's not like you're sick of Call of Duty, so you can go play X Defiant or Halo or one of the other arena shooters, or you're sick of this BR, so you hop on Fortnite or Warzone, or you jump to the next one, Apex or whatever else.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the
It's
only
unique.
like competitive looter shooter that like you get these amazing weapons that have perks that vastly change the weapon, and you get to take them in and like use them and dump on people in PvP.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really hard to like, you know, just, you know, you can't stop doing cocaine and switch over to crystal meth because there's just nothing like it.
Oh man, I like that analogy there. Um, Yeah, it's too. I think one of the coolest things for PvP for me, with the uniqueness of it, was the minute you got that drop, you got that perfect roll, and you're like, dude, let's get the fucking crucible right now. You know.
You got that blast furnace with range and as
Yep.
much stability as you could get, and
Yep.
you're
It's a
like, I
laser.
know I'm gonna dominate in Crucible, and you
Hmm.
did, and it
Yeah.
felt incredible.
Yeah. It
But that's gone from the game now.
right. Oh, and then the pinnacle is like when we got Luna's Howl, or what was the sniper? Um
Oh,
stuff like that, or
Revoker.
Rand
Oh
or
man, it turned
Revoker.
me into a sniper.
Randy's
Throwing knife.
was that what
Randy's throwing knife was the scout rifle,
okay,
the
throwing
Pinnacle
knife.
Scout that was like 260 RPM.
Yeah. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. Those are the memories of getting shit on and finally getting the weapon and then shitting on other people with it.
Mm-hmm.
That I really like. So
Oh man, I hated sniping in Destiny 2. I did a little bit of sniping in Destiny 1, but when they launched Revoker, I was like, I have
gotta
to
get
get
it.
good at sniping.
Yeah. And you
Gotta get
did.
my 300
For,
headshots.
forced
And I
yourself
did
to
it,
do.
and then it felt so good. And I actually was decent at sniping after that in
Mhm.
Destiny. It was wild.
Yeah.
It's like they gave you this path to get good at their game, and then they rewarded you with an even better version of being good.
Yeah.
It was an incredible grind.
Yeah, that was fun to play in and competitive, or play with and competitive.
It was.
Um,
It was.
now I'm depressed.
I know. That's the worst part about all of this is I've been watching all these videos of them trashing it and how scummy this is. I just want to play some more Destiny. I'm just
Yeah, I'm not.
addicted. I just
Yeah.
want to play more. I was like, they're just trashing the game while they're like, have gameplay up, and it's like, I just want to get some more weapons, and I want to like shoot some people. I want to play
Mhm.
some PvP, and I won't. But
It's the good old
they got
days.
me
It's
addicted.
it's
That's
the
like
good old
their
days. Yeah.
whole game plan was to just like get people addicted to this
Yeah.
gameplay loop, and they got me good.
And the sad thing is a lot of like the game as a whole. If you listen to like other YouTubers, or in podcasts, they kind of like they just shit on it. It's like, oh, I feel bad for you that you're playing Destiny. It's a meme right now because the game is in such a horrible state.
Scummy state.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to think that after a revolt happens, they'll change their ways, but I don't
They'll
think
just
so.
give in for a season or two, and they'll
Yeah.
slowly start working
Yeah.
their way back, like Bungie always does.
Yeah. The new player experience or new light, the XP model issue, stuff like that. That's sad. It's
And
pathetic.
the worst part about the XP throttling when Destiny 2 first came out is they
Mm.
sold you double XP stuff.
Yeah, it's fucked.
And so then you'd get the double XP and you thought you were earning all this extra double XP, and you literally would do 2 public events, and then for the next hour you were basically getting no XP from every other public event you do.
Yeah.
And 2 public events only takes you 10, 12 minutes.
Right.
So for 45 minutes you're getting nothing because you paid to double your XP, and then you thought you were doing this amazing XP grind, and it actually turned out that you weren't doing anything. They just didn't decide to tell you that in the game.
Dirty Bungie. That's all I really got on the topic, man. Trying to think if we missed anything. I knew we were gonna go longer. The passion.
I know.
15 minutes, it's almost an hour. That's how it always goes. But all right. Give the people what they want, Dan. They've been waiting.
Stay off Destiny. Stay nerdy.
See you.